And we want to do something completely different for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the year is 2020, and the CEO of Bridges Airways Air Traffic Control is on trial.
Incompetent.
Judge sentences him to death.
Boo.
I honestly don't know who these belong to. Oh. Property of Stephen Angus.
Ladies and gentlemen, the court of public opinion is now in session. For the case of the big bad CEO, all stand. The Honorable Joseph Teixeira presiding. All stand, I said, for the Honorable Joseph Teixeira.
Your Honor.
You may all be seated. I didn't tell you to sit yet. You are charged with failing to lead your organization through a period of intense change in the air traffic management industry, such that your organization was ill-prepared for the environment of today in 2020. Your organization lacked quality safety data. Your safety management system had stood still for 20 years, and you had no safety strategy. These negligent actions caused the incident which occurred in your airspace. You exposed the traveling public to unacceptable risk. Do you understand the charge?
Yes.
Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Please sit. Dr. Marison, since you are prosecuting, are you prepared to make an opening statement?
Thank you, Your Honour. The prosecution case is very clear and self-explanatory. I will show how the defendant did willfully and negligently fail to prepare his organisation back in 2014 for the challenges of the future, a future which we will see today. I will assert that these challenges were obvious to anyone at the time, and the defendant had the authority and the resources at his disposal to make the necessary changes. He failed to do so, causing unacceptable risk to the travelling public, as evidenced by the incident which has been highlighted in the newspapers. I shall present evidence and testimony to support this argument, which will leave the jury with no doubt as to the guilt of the defendant.
This is a very serious charge indeed.
Your Honour, please, before we begin, I must state that I find the prosecution's evidence is so flimsy that I believe my client has no case to answer.
Thank you, but I believe we will hear this case. Does the defense wish to make some opening remarks?
Thank you, Your Honour.
It is traditional for you to stand while addressing the court. Oh, you are. Carry on.
My client is a man of upstanding character who has shown great moral courage in leading his organisation through a change in our industry. He cannot be held responsible for these external influences, and well, really, he was just trying his best.
Thank you. Dr. Marison, will you please call your first witness?
Your Honour, the defendant has waived his right to silence, so I therefore believe we should hear from him. I call Monsieur Brungen.
Get up, scum. Over to the witness box with you.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You must be safe. Look at the size of this thing. This Bridges Airways Safety Management System.
Can you please state your name and occupation for the record?
I'm Job Rugen, CEO of Bridges Airways.
Your Honour, we will introduce Prosecution Exhibit A, a video of the air traffic control incident which recently occurred in the airspace of Bridges Airways ATC.
United 3451, turn left heading 060, expedite.
What's the matter, Nick?
This TWA got my airspace somehow.
He's got a data block. You must have accepted the handoff.
No, he's supposed to be at 5,000 feet and he was descending.
Tommy, sit down for Nick.
Yeah.
That was a truly shocking incident. The public and the jury will be rightly shocked by what they have just seen. Do you have any comment to make?
Oh, yeah, that was a nasty one, wasn't it? But thankfully, they don't happen very often.
But they shouldn't happen at all. As the CEO of Bridges Airways ATC, are you familiar with your organisation's safety management system?
Yes, I am. I have worked with Bridges Airways SMS for many, many years.
How many years has Bridges Airways SMS been used?
25 years at least or more.
So it must be a dusty old tome that it tends to sit on the shelf in the management office gathering dust?
Well, I mean, if you print it out, it's quite a large document, but My office is regularly cleaned, so there's not a lot of dust on it.
So what is the SMS used for in bridges, airways, ATC?
It's lists all the procedures that we follow, and it also contains the measures of safety and forms, many forms to be filled in. Yes, many forms.
Please tell me, when was the last time that Bridges Airways SMS caused your organisation to spend money differently to the original budget?
Differently? Well, that's a tricky one. Now, you see, there are so many things with safety in the title. It's difficult to pin down anything, but safety is our #1 priority.
Your organisation was part of an international development programme, wasn't it?
Yes. It was. We worked with lots of partners and industry to develop lots of shiny new tools for our controllers.
That sounds wonderful. I bet you were very happy with all those new widgets, the controllers. How did you assure the safety of those widgets?
I think we used our existing methods, the ones we always use.
But were they appropriate? You have just said that the methods were 25 years old. Was advanced automation and the sharing of responsibility between ground and air even considered when these processes were written?
We've had some experience, and we've experienced some issues with the automation. Yes, that was difficult.
Yes. That level of automation was never considered when the SMS was being written, wasn't it? But your partner organisations, were they also using the widgets, weren't they?
Oh.
You could have used their assurance,
Haven't.
which they created?
Haven't. No. I can't trust my partners to provide assurance for me. No. We needed to redo all the assurance ourselves.
Sounds expensive.
Oh.
What programs were cancelled as a result of this extra cost? What safety measures weren't implemented because of your inefficiency? I think it's fair to conclude that Bridges Airways SMS wasn't delivering, as it was based on outdated methods which added unnecessary cost into your organisation. But let's move on. Bridges Airways has just bought a lot of new systems to support its controllers.
Yes, the tools that we mentioned earlier, the shiny tools.
They record lots of data, don't they? About how the system is used?
That's for the engineers, basically. I mean, we rely on reports for our controllers to tell us when things go wrong. And then we investigate, we find the root cause, and then we fix it.
So you wait for incidents to happen?
Well, what else can you do? I mean, it's random after all, isn't it?
So you're learning nothing from these incidents when they occur?
Yes. We keep learning the same lesson all over again. And but as I said, it's random, and it's mostly human error. It's always the controller's fault.
You mentioned your controllers. What role do they play in your organisation?
Controllers now, they are the real nasty troublemakers always, isn't it? A real nuisance, always making mistakes.
But you're the leader of the organisation. Isn't that the right message to be sending to your staff? That they are a nuisance and cause incident? As the CEO, you must set the culture of your organisation through your actions. What safety actions did you take?
We have lots and lots of meetings, and I always say safety is our #1 priority. So during every meeting I say that. And whenever there's an incident, there is no biscuits during the meeting. That'll teach them a lesson.
You're a regulated organisation, aren't you? What is your position on the rules which are imposed on you?
Well, we follow the rules always. I mean, the regulator is always right, so they know best, of course. And I've set targets throughout the organisation so that people can understand and the regulator can understand what's going on. So people need targets, or else they'll be doing off whatever.
I really do have no further questions. Thank you. Please stay there. I'm sure my learned friend will have some additional questions for you. Dr. Harrison, your witness.
Is it normal to be prosecuted by a woman? Safety is on a priority.
The defence presents Defence Exhibit A. Please explain what this graph represents.
I think that's our safety performance, isn't it? And you can see it's great. The line goes down. We've been progressing ever since, despite increasing traffic. And it can clearly be seen that British Airways performance has improved. We have a record low number of incidents. As I said, the land goes down.
Objection, Your Honour. The defence is misrepresenting the graph. What are these?
These?
You are still having incidents.
Sustained. Dr. Harrison, please consider all of the graph. You are a statistician, after all.
Well, what conclusions do you draw from the line going down and your current low rate of incidents?
Well, we are safer. We must be safer. I mean, we still have incidents, and yes, sometimes they can be quite nasty ones, if you've seen. But, you know, they're not important. They're just the result of human error. There's nothing really to learn from them. Controllers will always make mistakes. I can't be held responsible for that. Look at that line there, you know, down there. We've been stationary down there for 3 months. We were perfectly safe. There was no risk.
Objection. No risk. Surely there is always risk. You are just counting the wrong thing.
Sustained. The defendant will answer the question. There is surely always risk.
Yeah.
Just because you have no incidents doesn't mean that you are perfectly safe.
Your Honor, this is what the rules require that we measure. We count things going wrong, and that's how we know we're safe. As long as we don't have too many, it's okay.
I have no further questions, Your Honour.
You may step down.
Wait for me, scum.
Dr. Marison, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Thank you, Your Honour. As you have heard, the defendant relied on the past to guide the future. He has led the organisation which was complacent and resting on its laurels. He created complacency through his safety management system. His measures said everything was fine. He failed to appreciate the challenges ahead, which were plain for all to see. I believe you can only find him guilty of failing to have an appropriate SMS with quality data informing him, or a strategy to cope with these challenges.
Dr. Harrison, do you have closing remarks?
Thank you, Your Honour. The organisation's past safety performance was good. It gave him every confidence that the future would be just the same. Who would think otherwise? My client could not have foreseen the challenges which presented themselves back in 2014. Who would have known that traffic would have risen, that there would be issues introducing advanced automation, that so many systems would be interconnected, and that the regulators would impose so many new rules? He placed his trust in these targets and rules. He had to balance safety with other priorities. I think you can see that he was just doing his best.
Now, you, the jury, must retire and consider your verdict. How would you find the defendant, guilty or not guilty? Personally, I would find him guilty as sin.
Guilty! Guilty!
Ladies and gentlemen, is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty!
But perhaps we should rewind the clock and see what might happen if the defendant had really considered the challenges of the future. What might that strategy look like?
Okay. You can take that off for a minute. Right. That's the first half. We're going to do it again shortly. That itches. Okay. Sorry.
We'll do it at the end.
Later. Maybe this evening, Stephen. Okay. What I want to do now for the next 10 or 15 minutes is just take us to talk about and think about a strategy. What would a safety strategy do? Clearly, it's not going to never going to keep Yob out of the dock. But what would it do in terms of ensuring safety for us and ensuring that we're actually doing the right things? We can start to work together closer to improve whichever it is that matters to you most. Oh yes, scene 2.
The court is back in session. I'll have some order.
Somebody answer the door. Now we have seen that CANSO has a safety strategy. Let's replay the courtroom drama and see if you think there's a difference. Will the defendant please stand? You are still charged with failing to lead your organization through a period of intense change in the air traffic management industry, such that your organization was ill-prepared for the environment of today in 2020. You exposed the traveling public to unacceptable risk. Do you understand the charge?
Yes.
Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, sir.
Please sit.
The prosecution case is still very simple. I will show that the defendant failed to lead his organisation through a period of change. It was unprepared for the future.
Dr. Harrison, would the defense like to make an opening statement?
Thank you. Your Honor, my client was and remains a leader in the field of safety. In 2014, he found an organisation facing unprecedented change and considerable challenges. His organisation was not in a position to cope. As a result of his direct actions, he initiated a strategy for safety in his organisation which addressed these challenges, as I will demonstrate. It was only through his foresight, dogged perseverance, and strength of character that he was able to ensure his organisation was fit for the future.
Please call your first witness.
Your Honour, I call Mr. Job Bruggen.
On my safety management system, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Wow, that was really easy to cope with. Might it be tailored and proportionate?
You are the CEO of British Airways ATC?
The truth, the whole truth. Yes, I am.
Please explain the challenges which your organisation was confronted with in 2014.
Our safety performance was good as shown by the reduced number of incidents. We were increasing the amount of automation in the operations room, which meant that the support parts of the organization were increasingly important in delivering the safety. We had new regulators, we had new rules, our customers and regulators were also challenging us on the cost of our services, and we had established processes for managing safety in the organization.
Mr. Bruggen, what role do people play in your organisation?
People are the most important part of our organization, and they are the strength of my organization. Safety comes from individuals taking responsibility and ownership. That means everyone in the organization. It starts with the leaders at the top, those with the formal accountabilities in the operations room, the engineers designing the systems of the future, even the accountants setting the budget, and down to the communications department setting the message of the month. My people.
But what changes did you make?
We reinforced the culture of the organization around the principles and values which we stood for. We acted justly. We challenged poor performance where we found it. I challenged the company to ensure it wasn't being complacent. And we also made sure that how we did safety was embedded in all aspects of our business. We recognized that safety was not incompatible with cost. Safety is, after all, good business.
I present Defence Exhibit A, the graph of your safety performance.
Yes, that's our safety performance. It's good performance, and we should be rightly proud of it and our achievement, but it presents its own problems. I mean, what happens when we have no incidents to learn from, such as in the last period? Are we learning anything from incidents we do have? Are they exposing the true risks? As an organization, we needed new measures of safety.
And what actions did you take?
We reframed safety as not just the absence of things going wrong, but also the presence of things going right. We adopted new measures to understand how safe we were every day, rather than just waiting for the incident to happen. So I tasked my organization to examine all the data we had at our disposal from all of the systems and procedures we had to uncover the leading indicators and weak signals for safety. I wanted to anticipate the incident rather than react to it. I wanted to prevent the incident. So I wanted the organization to use its safety intelligence.
Your Honour, I present Exhibit B, British Airways Operational Performance Graph. Please explain this, Mr. Bruggen.
We build up measures of safety which used everyday performance, normal everyday performance. We use this to inform our risk management actions. So at the purple circle there, you can see the risk picture changing. So we introduced new tools which address the key risk in the operation, but there hadn't been an incident. We anticipated to prevent one occurring. There had not been an incident yet.
Your Honour, I must protest. The defendant is suggesting he didn't undertake investigation of incidents.
Your Grace, on the contrary, we still needed to investigate, but we needed to learn the lessons differently and not focus solely on the role of the human. We needed to look at what went right as well as anything that went wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Bruggen. Your Honour, I have no further questions.
Dr. Marison, you're a witness.
What was the purpose of British Airways Safety Management System?
It is used to allocate resources against risk.
You mentioned that you are under increasing cost pressures, so you would have had fewer resources and presumably less money for safety. The truth is that you cut corners, didn't you?
Absolutely not, madam. We needed to reconsider the purpose of our safety management system and make it fit for the future. It needed to focus on the real risks so we could take tailored and proportionate action to address the risks. We needed to know when to stop. I mean, after all, too big is too big. We had to identify which things added value and which things did not.
Your organisation was quite vocal in its challenges to new regulations, wasn't it?
We had to recognize that rules didn't necessarily make us safer, and that targets and metrics must drive the right behavior. We didn't believe that the rules as they were proposed achieved that. We needed to be more challenging as an organization. We needed to be a learning organization.
That sounds ridiculous. Your organisation challenged senior management. It sounds like a recipe for chaos.
It is hardly, Your Grace. We unified the organization around a core vision for safety. We gave them permission to improve how they work. The people doing the work are the best people to understand the risk. We empowered them to take the action they thought was necessary to make us safer.
I have no further questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you will agree that this strategy provides the framework to ensure that we, as ANSPs, are prepared for the challenges of the future. It could even keep you away from the hangman of public opinion. But the key point here is not that implementing a strategy keeps you out of jail. That was just a bit of fun for today. The point we want you to take away is that we believe that by implementing this strategy and supporting the Safety Standing Committee activities in whatever way you can, the chances of this incident ever happening in the first place will be as low as possible. But for a little bit more fun, do you think this defendant is guilty or not guilty?
Guilty! Guilty!
Still guilty.
Bastards. All right. Okay.